So here's another attempt at explaining how to do a histogram. So this is the data. This is the actual data for the project for this year. So it starts at 87 and it goes, if we go to the bottom of the data, it's 117. Okay. So for histograms, you're going to have classes which have the same width, and so what did we say it was? 87 to 117, I think it was. 117, okay. So 117. So some people have been using, I think, two bins. If you take the difference between those two, 117 minus 87, you get 30. So if you use bins 2 units wide, you'd end up with 15 bins, which is too many. If you do 5, you're going to end up with 6 bins. So I think I would probably choose 4 units. And so what I'll choose is 90, and then I'll go to 94. And what this will do is anything that's less than 90, it'll stick in this bin, and between 94 and 90 will go in this one. So I'm going to put 90 and 94. I'm going to highlight the 2 cells. I'm going to drag it down and until I get to 120 or 118. Okay, so there's 118. So I'm going to delete these right here. So how many bins do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so that's a good number. I think a lot of people are doing bins, too many bins. And it's probably because the previous example was with a mean of 50, and this is a mean of 100. So it's probably going to be twice as many. If you use a width of 2, you get too many classes. Okay, so there's my data, there's my bins. Now what we'll do is we'll go to add-on, Excel minor data tool pack, start, and we'll go down to histogram. So we have to put the input range. So I'm going to go ahead and do it by highlighting this. So we're going to start at A1, we're going to drag all the way down to A240 probably, wherever the last one is here. Oops, went not too far. Okay, so highlight that, and you click inside. So that's A1 through A240. Let's scroll back up. The next thing I need to do is highlight the bins, and I click in the bin range, and it does that. And then I'm going to put my output, I'm going to put right here. So I'll click it in that cell, and I'll click in output range. I'll get D1. I want the chart output, and that's it. So I say OK, and I can close that. So you'll see I have the graph over here, so I'm going to take the graph, I'm just going to drag it so I can see what's going on. So there's my histogram, and the only last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the more, because there's none that are more. So what I do is just highlight the 3 cells and push delete, and you can see it gets rid of that. It also has chosen to put bin in there, which I don't really want it to do. There's 2 ways of fixing that. Let me just show you the other. So if I click inside the graph and I go to this 3 little dots and say edit, you'll see the data range says D1 through D10 and E1 through E10. If I change that to D2 and change that to E2, that will get rid of that. So all I have to do is just click somewhere else. So I'm just going to click there, and you'll see what happened is that it got rid of the bin frequency thing there. Okay. While we're in here, let's go to customize legend and position none. So that gets rid of the legend. So now you see I've got the histogram, and I've just got 90. So that's where I need to change so these labels are more representative of what's going on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click in this cell, because these cells determine the labels, not these ones. These were just used for running the histogram, but the bins that are generated here are the ones that are going to be reflected there. So I'm going to double click in there, and so instead of 90, I'm going to put my cursor. You'll see this little quotation mark, single quotation mark. I'm going to do 86-90, and I can push enter, and you'll see down here it says 86-90. That means 86 to 90, and I'll do 90-94, and you know, the problem is if it's exactly equal to 90, is it in this one or this one? And it turns, you know, I could put 90. I think it's from 90 and down, so this really should be 90.0 something, and I think it depends upon how many, you know, how many digits are shown in the data, which is just 3 digits. So I could say 90.1 if I wanted to be exact, but you know, what we could do is, if you went down to 98, is there any that are 98.0? Yes. So the question is, which ones does that get fit into? And I think it would get fit into this one, 98 to 94.1 basically. So but for our case, we're just going to kind of give it some rough ideas here. So I just go in and I double click to edit, and then put in the numbers that represent the range. And you'll see, as every time I change these, it'll change these numbers from a single number to a double number. Okay, so that's pretty much it. So hopefully that you understand what's going on better. This is my frequency distribution. This is my histogram. This is the data. And let's see if well, yeah, it's 51. I was just thinking how we might see which ones those get stuck into, because I'm not 100% sure what they would get put in. Say a 98 would get stuck there, would it get put in there? Like I said, I think it gets put in here. Well, one way would be to look at this, 86 through 90. Well, yeah, you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So obviously that's those 7. And the next 24 would go in this bin. Unfortunately, we don't have 94.0, so I'd have to go to this one to actually see which one it is. I guess I could read the instructions.